The Texas Tech Red Raiders are at odds of plus 25,000 to win the 2016 College Football National Championship, and they are at odds of plus 1,800 to win the Big 12 Conference Championship. Last season saw the Red Raiders go 4-8 straight up, 6-6 against the spread, and 6-6 on the over-under. The Red Raiders enter their third year under head coach Cliff Kingsbury, and after the first season that provided 8 wins with a bowl game victory, the program took a step back in 2014, only winning 4 games in the campaign. After a 2-0 start, the Red Raiders lost 7 of their next 8 games, and their defense was a large reason for the demise. With 128 ranked teams in the BCS, Texas Tech finished 123rd in the nation in scoring defense, 122nd in total defense, and 121st in rushing defense, which all came to a head against TCU when the Frogs lit them up for 82 points in the 8th game of the year. Ultimately, however, the offense had plenty to do with the amount of time the Tech defense spent on the field, as too many turnovers put that defense in precarious situations all too often. Kingsbury made the decision to bring in Houston's former coordinator David Gibbs, who spent 2 years with the Cougars as their DC and has one coaching win under his belt. Gibbs helped engineer the largest fourth-quarter comeback in the history of BCS Bowl Series in his final game with Houston. After being down 31-6 with 14 minutes to play, they ultimately took a 35-34 win over Pittsburgh. Patrick Mahomes took over for Davis Webb late in the season a year ago, and he apparently has the inside edge on the starting quarterback position this season over Davis. With 8 returning starters, offensive coordinator Eric Morris has a veteran offensive line and senior leadership at the skill positions that should provide the ability to stretch the playbook this season. Senior running back DeAndre Washington toted the rock for just over 1,100 yards and found himself utilized in the passing game, catching 30 balls out of the backfield with 4 touchdowns. Senior wide receiver Jacob Grant led the team with 67 receptions for 938 yards, but Tech will need to replace Bradley Marquez, who was second on the team in all receiving categories to Grant except for touchdowns, as Grant finished with 7 while Marquez had 10. 3 seniors are also set to return up front. David Gibbs' defense in Houston the last 2 seasons did a great job of forcing turnovers, so the hope is that he will recreate that same intensity with the Red Raiders to get this offense back on the field as quickly as possible. The secondary returns 5 players who saw starting time last year, so the misleading stat here is that 7 returning starters from last year's squad come almost entirely from the defensive backfield. Don't overlook the fact that 4 seniors will be on the defensive line this season, with the bookends about as solid as they come. Pete Robertson started all 12 games on the left end in 2014 and started all 13 games in 2013, and he played all 12 games as a freshman as well. Robertson is joined by Brandon Jackson on the other end, and he too has played and started the last 2 seasons, while contributing just as much in his freshman season in 2012. Rika Levy and Keelan McElrath are both big bodies with the ability to stop the run, so the front 4 is actually seen as an upgrade in our opinion from last year, although yes, anything from last year's defense would be seen as an upgrade. It is difficult to try to assess where 6 wins are going to come from to earn a bowl bid. Starting the season 2-0 again should be obtainable with Sam Houston State and UTEP, but Arkansas, TCU, and Baylor in succession is not likely to fare well for the Red Raiders. There is just too much talent in the Big 12 above the Red Raiders, and the defense certainly needs to pick themselves up off the mat after a brutal session in 2014. For our pick and predictions, 4 wins and possibly 5 if they can upset a team or 2, so we expect them to fall just short of bowl contention this season again. For our Texas Tech Red Raiders betting predictions, check out the Bang the Book Betting Center. And don't forget that the Bang the Book Betting Center is your best resource for sports betting information before you make your weekly assault on the sports books.